The liberal media urging the Democratic Party to break away from the woke in a last-ditch effort to save the party's fortunes before the midterm elections. A new article says the Democrats need to wake up and take on radical activists in the party before it's too late. The warnings come on the heels of Jill Biden apologizing after comparing Hispanic people to tacos. So, Tyrus, they say go woke, go broke, go broke at the ballot box.
Yeah, but this is falling on deaf ears. None of them are listening, and whoever wrote it is probably on a short list to get canceled immediately. They bought into this. This was the progressives' issue. This is what they wanted to run on, and lo and behold, the American people said, no, this is not how we do things. They double down. They don't change, and this individual who saw the light probably was never on board anyways. Until you start seeing real change in policy or one of these progressive leaders come forward and be like, we made a mistake, we're wrong. I feel horrible for moderate Democrats and real Democrats because they get mixed up in this. And one of the most frustrating things for me about Joe Biden is Joe Biden was always a moderate Democrat. Even sometimes I felt he was too much on crime. But he gets in the White House, he beats them, they need him to get in, and he just folds to their agendas, which the American people technically didn't really vote for. They voted for him thinking he was going to bring balance, and all he's really done is brought these progressive agendas, and they're going to blame it on him instead of changing the mindset and at least admit the wrong. At least say, hey, we made some mistakes. First world problems aren't the same as real problems, and they just willing not this. Yeah, good for you, bruh, but there's no one coming along with it, unfortunately.
So Lawrence, is it too late for Biden to shed the woke?
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late to even pivot and change issues. Look, I use this analogy a lot because I think it's the perfect example of what's happening in the country. I go every single week, go to diners, and I talk to middle America, what's facing the country. And then I go back home and I go to my barbershop, which is the center of all politics in Black America. And they're saying the same exact thing. So when you have the president that have lost both groups, you know he's in trouble. And it's not just wokeness. It's the failure to address the day-to-day issues that are facing the American people. Maya Flores should be an example for the Republican Party. And she did something that no Republican is able to do. She loves her country, and she loves her community as well. And what I mean by that, she didn't change who she was. She didn't put on some fancy suit. She talked about her heritage. She talked about the immigrants there. She talked about the food. She also talked about the crime, the border, and she also said that she was proud to be an American. If Republicans can replicate that model, every single district where there's a swing district, they'll win, not only in Hispanic America, but also in Black America, because they're waiting for those leaders.
I'm from Arizona, so I think Myra Flores probably makes some really good tacos. That's right. I bet she's a good cook. Judge.
Look, the Dems are so focused on cultural issues. They're never going to apologize. They're never going to say we're sorry. And I was reading an interesting quote here. Latinos are fed up. Former radio Mambi host Dania Alexandrino told Fox News, the Democratic Party prostitutes the vote of the Hispanic population. They use it, they abuse it, and then they discard it. They do it every single election cycle. I don't like to segregate the Hispanic population. They are people who have needs, who have concerns, who are fearful of crime, who worry about gas, who worry about buying chicken and how much it is this week. You know, I'm tired of the separation. I get the subcultures. I respect the subcultures in this country. But at the same time, you know what? The Democrats, it's too late for them not to be woke. Joe Biden doesn't know if he's awake or unawake. So he doesn't know if he's woke or unwoke. Okay? He can't make the transition.
Geraldo.
I think that the Hispanics, particularly, Katie, are innately conservative. They are socially conservative in many, many ways. They're faith-based. They're family-oriented. As Reagan said famously back in the 80s, they're Republicans. They just may not know it yet. But I think that the reason it is significant, and the reason I think Hispanics can be carved out, is that as the largest minority group in the country, there is no way the Democrats can win without a substantial minority, majority of Hispanics. And if they have lost, if Joe Biden and company have lost Latinos, as now appears likely, then I think they're doomed, the party going forward. If the Democratic Party is not the party of various ethnicities, what is it exactly?
It's just party of the woke.
Right.